at you joining us live on location at Condo Conference 2025. Hey, it's your buddy Mike, and the REMI Network, of course, covering off at the Condo Conference because Condo Business, one of the main publications enjoyed by this industry. Stay with us as we have a wild array of great guests coming up throughout the show, experts that will cover off on many different fields. Today, no exception. Joe joins us from VIVE. Did I say that right? Was that too Canadian?
It's actually VIVE. No, I wouldn't say it's Canadian. I've heard everything from Jive to Vive and VIVE, but it is actually VIVE.
Well, I catch the vibe. I got it.
I got you.
So now it's interesting. You and I just had a chat. You've driven in from Michigan to Toronto for the show. And this show, by the way, is this your first time in Toronto?
First time in this show. We've been about 5 years live in the Ontario province and also in Alberta for the last maybe 3 years. So,
So you guys, you hail from the U.S. with a line of service here that we'll get into, but now entering into the Canadian space by what sounds like necessity more than anything.
Well, I mean, so vendor compliance is the category that VIVE is in. VIVE is short for Vendor Information Verification Experts. That's how we got to that name.
All right,
And so the importance or just assumption in the space, especially assumption of the corporations, the boards, thinking that the management company they've hired is doing their part to protect them when they hire vendors,
right,
is really where we fit in to make sure that that expectation is met. Backing up my story just personally and also the VIVE story is I come from the management space. My blood runs deep. I'm 3 generations into family business of a company in Michigan for managing condo corporations. And so through that time saw just the expectation at the client level with the reality in the back office and wherever it's placed to vet vendors is just done very squirrely, not consistent, and devoid of any real consistency. Simply not because we were incompetent, but we just didn't have the time, right?
I was going to say, there's so many vendors required in building management and condo management overall that, and it seems to me that once you get a vendor, you may stay with them too long just for the sake of convenience and time and all of that. It'd be better to find out that you've got the right vendor from the get-go.
People get comfortable, the vendors do, and unfortunately comfortability can lead to some exposure that you just don't realize under the hood that the vendor isn't insured, didn't keep up insurance, maybe they were up front. At the end of the day, managers just have an endless list of to-dos, and so our service offers them to just not have to dive into this need to do it at a much deeper and consistent level and then track it. So a lot of what we do is at the insurance level, and once insurance isn't forever insurance, that has expiration dates, and in the case of Ontario, you got WSIB every quarter that needs to be looked at for the workers' compensation, and so those are the nuts and bolts that the expectation of the client level is being done, but it just is impossible to squeeze out of the management fee enough labor to put all that together. So our fee our service is paid by vendors. They pay an annual fee. It offloads the cost, doesn't cost the corporations, very nominal fee for the vendors to pay. It not only gets them vetted, it equalizes what it takes for any of their competition to come in and stabilizes that expectation at the client level that this vetting is getting done, prevents the future potential loss of a vendor causing a claim to affect their association policy. So it actually helps keep their stabilization of their condo fees to a more manageable level than just leaving it to the hope. So that's our game plan together.
And on the vendor side of things, it sounds to me like it's a great option, a great opportunity for vendors, one, to prove themselves and get a little bit of a certification, if you will, a third-party endorsement, which is always great. And as you point out, it equalizes the playing field. So if you're not the biggest player in the game, your competition may not get the job because you can provide a better service, even that they are a bigger brand and maybe better known.
We want vendors to still compete against themselves. There's great vendors and their story changes throughout the years. But ultimately, we don't want vendors to be competing on a different playing field of insurance requirements and trade license verification. Right. We supplementally make sure that their HST, GST number at the governmental level is validated. So we're doing a fraud prevention.
Oh, that was a good Ontarian of you, by the way.
Yeah,
you caught
like
both the taxes. Nice work.
Yeah, I know my stuff a little bit. And again, I mentioned the WSIB. like those things shouldn't be an unequal playing field against vendors.
Yeah.
Right. And so after that, okay, let them compete about what's their equipment and how many people and years of business. All that's great.
What they add to the service.
Yeah, or relationship, et cetera. Those are all wonderful things, but if you're going to get past the front door to give cookies, stop that at the vendor level. Just pay the fee and get vetted, and now that door should then be open to those vendors who have proven the fact that they're at least competent in this area.
What feedback are you getting from the vendors?
We just get their annual fee.
Feedback.
Oh, feedback. It's funny. They love it because right now it's very difficult for them to get past that front door.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Especially the post-COVID era. Nobody wants unsolicited meetings. And I was a management company owner, like I said. I didn't have endless time for vendors to come through. And so, of course, it's new in many cases where they haven't, in some areas, had to pay a fee. So there's some friction there. I won't admit that that's just universal acceptance. But the smart vendors that realize what they're getting and realizing that every other vendor has to go through it, it becomes very routine and they can keep up. And they find also on their part, they can use our network to look for more clients. So it works both ways. So clients can actually find outside of their network the management companies that are in the competing areas.
You guys are a hub.
Yeah, we're a hub. So it's, of course, there's cost to doing that, but it just brings exposure. And so with today's cost of gas and the ability to get past the front door, the minor amount of fee that they have to go through, let alone they know that all competent parties have to go through it, it's really been a good adoption. So
I can imagine.
Yeah, I think we're 65,000 vendors across both Canada
incredible.
and USS. And so my answer back to that is it's working.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting to continue to partner with more and more management companies here in Canada.
And that's what you're doing here at the show. You're looking for management companies that can take advantage of this.
We're at booth 1402. Be happy if anyone's listening that would want to stop by. But regardless, on our website at GetVived, GetVived.com, you can sign up for a demo, get a real bird's eye view with our sales team, exposing you to the product and showing the value, and make your decision if it's worth it.
We'll enclose with the description of today's show where people can reach out to you and find out more. But I wish you a great show, Joe. This is fantastic.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate the opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. More great guests, great experts, and industry breakthroughs happening live from Condo Conference 2025, part of the REMI Network and the Condo Business Magazine.